those of you who are the sort of more diligent policy watchers amongst you, and I know that JISC, through its services, tries to support the flow of information about what is being produced nationally, will be aware that over the last 2 or 3 years, there's been a significant range of policy pronouncements and strategies published to help guide us more effectively in the future period to tackle those challenges that I have just reminded us about. You've got the LSC's Agenda for Change, the FE Reform White Paper, which was a big part of my own work in the department, Lord Leach's Review of Skills, published just over a year ago, shortly to be followed, I believe, in the next couple of weeks by the government's implementation plan to actually respond to Lord Leach's recommendations. Then the first National Quality Improvement Strategy, published by the Quality Improvement Agency on behalf of a range of national partners, including Becta, last year. Significant implications there. And a couple of years ago, the strategy that perhaps more of you will be familiar with, the government's first e-strategy for the whole of the education and training system, which has set out, at least in part so far, the agenda that Becta is very heavily engaged with. We want from here the e-strategy to be seen as essential key underpinning for the system-wide strategies, whether you're talking about Every Child Matters, which many of you will be engaged in through your local linkages with other providers, right through to what is happening in terms of HE policy and HE change and the skills strategy, and shortly the Leach implementation plan. And our proposition, and I think I'm probably speaking to the converted rather than to the sceptical audience, our proposition is that e-strategy and the effective harnessing of technology needs to underpin the implementation of all these strategies and all this work as we go forward. Our e-strategy increasingly these days needs to feed into and support government-wide priorities about the effective use of technology in reform and in the further development of public policy and public service delivery across the piece, whether you're talking about education or health or cultural media or whatever it is. So that sets out the kind of bigger context in which Becta is now beginning to develop its own plans and discussing with the department and with ministers what that direction should be. And as we move into the autumn, Becta will start out on a journey of consulting all its major stakeholders and partners and people delivering key work across the whole of the education system as to what the priorities for e-strategy should be in the next phase. We have been going out and about, talking to our key partners, doing a lot of reflecting internally as to where Becta needs to focus strategically in the next phase, where Becta can add value to all the work that is going on across the FE and skills system, focusing on harnessing technology more effectively. And we will be thinking very hard and discussing to as many of you as we can get engaged with us on the following 4 areas as we go forward. We will be working on a new Becta strategy which will properly address the kind of big strategic reforms which I've just touched on this morning. We will do everything we can to bring coherence and consistency to the range of support and advice which is out there across the country, helping providers who know that harnessing technology effectively is an absolute key to their future improvement and improvement success, but find from time to time that it is difficult for them to tease out and make best use of the resources and the expertise that's there out there in the system to enable them to go forward in the way that they want to. We will focus our efforts very much in the next phase on e-confidence and e-maturity, and try to persuade the funders, the policymakers working nationally, and the regional networks as we go out, that that has to be the prime focus in the next phase, with everything that that focus implies, whether it's about staff recruitment strategies, contracts of employment, management and leadership development, teaching and learning resources, whatever it is. That's where we want to give our focus in the next phase. We think the agenda is very much about embedding. It's about, to some extent, and this may be something that you talk about in other settings, it's about, as technology enthusiasts, it's about, as quickly as we can, putting ourselves out of business, because we've embedded this expertise and this focus right across the whole of the system.